We are living in an undeniably special era for mixed martial arts, an era that has produced some truly legendary champions. The question I have is just how special the current crop of champions are, and just how far away they are from reaching the fighter who is considered the divisional GOAT in their weight class. So without further ado, we're going to take a dive into every single UFC division and break it down. Women's strawweight. The champion, Carla Esparza. The GOAT, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. To kick things off, we have one of the newly crowned champions in the UFC, a woman who earned her crown in one of the strangest and most underwhelming title fights I have ever seen. Carla Esparza is a great fighter though, an underrated fighter even, and her resume is pretty damn strong all things considered. Joanna Jędrzejczyk and her 5 title defenses just about gets my GOAT nod over Rose Namajunas, but ask me on a different day and that might change. I don't think that Carla Esparza's title reign is going to last long enough to see her really challenge Joanna's greatness. There are just too many bad matchups for her in that top 15. Women's flyweight. The champion, Valentina Shevchenko. The GOAT, Valentina Shevchenko. Okay, so the flyweight division is one of the 3 divisions in the UFC that we feel are pretty clearly being dominated by their GOAT at present. Thankfully, we're going to get through them pretty quickly here. Valentina Shevchenko is head and shoulders above all others, and with that being the case, let's move on. Women's bantamweight and featherweight. The champion, Amanda Nunes. The GOAT, Amanda Nunes. For obvious reasons, we decided to bundle these 2 divisions together, because let's be real, no one is getting a word in when it comes to GOAT status at either 135 pounds or 145 pounds. Flyweight. The champion, Deiveson Figueiredo. The GOAT, Demetrious Johnson. The flyweight division is in a time of real prosperity, which is really awesome to see, and right at the forefront of everything that is right about 125 pounds right now is the great Deiveson Figueiredo, a powerful, menacing figure who, on his day, could knock out any fighter in this division. But he has been set with the undesirable task of chasing Demetrious Johnson, and just as an overarching point, without even getting into how likely he might be to break the all-time UFC title defenses record, the dude is 34 turning 35 this year, and I do think that he'll be moving up to bantamweight before things get too serious between him and Mighty Mouse. Bantamweight. The champion, Aljamain Sterling. The GOAT, Dominic Cruz. The bantamweight division has truly never been better, and for all of the hate that he got, and for as big of a Piotr Jan fan that I am, I couldn't help but be happy for Aljamain Sterling when he scored a legitimate victory over the heavily favored Russian to solidify his status as champion. Dominic Cruz, in my eyes, is the divisional GOAT, although I wouldn't be too mad if you felt that TJ Dillashaw and his EPO were your pick. Sterling, though, doesn't strike me as the type of champion who will be able to fend off the insane level of competition that's about to land on his doorstep. And though I've been wrong on many occasions in the past, catching Dominic Cruz, for him at least, seems unlikely, although I do think someone will do it before too long. Featherweight. The champion, Alexander Volkanovski. The GOAT, Jose Aldo. People sometimes forget just how incredible a champion Jose Aldo was during his heyday, but even in the time that Max Holloway spent at the top of the 145-pound division, he wasn't too far away from catching up with the Brazilian. Maybe not purely in numbers, but in terms of who he was beating and how he was beating them. Alexander Volkanovski is, in my opinion, the best fighter in the sport today, and given that today's standards of MMA are the gold standard as far as the sport's overall progression, I think skill for skill, Volkanovski is already one of the best to ever do it. But I do see him moving up to lightweight, which would obviously halt his pursuit of GOAT status. However, if he does hang around and defend his title a few more times, yeah, I think he's pretty much well on his way. On a quick side note, if you're enjoying this content and would like to see more in a similar style, be sure to let us know in the comments below. There's a lot of interesting MMA news and fight announcements that we're going to be covering over the coming week, but I also wanted to try and switch up the content style, see how it works out. So anyways, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do like what you're hearing or what you're seeing, hit the like button if the mood strikes. Anyway, back to the video. Lightweight. The champion, Charles Oliveira. The GOAT, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Do you detract from a fighter's GOAT claim if he has a history of consistent shortcomings? Well, that's a topic that actually could warrant an entire video of its own, but Charles Oliveira has proven his fighting spirit beyond any doubt with this recent run, putting together a stretch of wins that any GOAT would be proud of. The issue is that he is chasing the perfect career of Khabib Nurmagomedov, and due to the many losses that Dubronx has sustained over the years, some fans will actually never accept him as greater than the Eagle. I don't agree with this at all, but I also think that Charles will need to continue this golden streak for at least another couple of fights to really make this period of form stand up in comparison to Nurmagomedov. Of course, Khabib did his claim a favor by getting out of the sport early, but in the time that he was on top, it's pretty fair to say say that he showed us some of the highest levels of MMA that we've ever seen. Oliveira isn't extremely far away, but the new contenders are closing in, and this portion of his career is going to require another level of greatness entirely, as the new generation begin to queue up. Welterweight, champion Leon Edwards. GOAT, Georges St. Pierre. A new king has been crowned at 170 pounds, and what a thrilling coronation it was. Leon Edwards pulled victory from the jaws of defeat with a stunning knockout of the former pound-for-pound king, Kamaru Usman, in the 25th minute of what was a dominant effort from the champion. And the nature of that win alone is a testament to this guy's ability to deal with the pressures of a UFC title fight. But like Kamaru before him, this win now leaves Leon chasing the most dominant champion in the history of the UFC, the great Georges St. Pierre. Now at 31, Edwards certainly has the time necessary to challenge with GSP down the line, but the biggest issue with making an argument in his favour is that the Sharks are most certainly circling at 170 pounds, not only in the form of a rematch against a guy who was dominating him in Usman, but also with the likes of Khamzat Chimaev, Colby Covington, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and others who could pose problems for him. Not impossible for Edwards, but a tough sell nonetheless. Middleweight, the champion Israel Adesanya, the GOAT Anderson Silva. I'm a bit conflicted on this one. Israel Adesanya absolutely has the skills to really dominate this division for quite some time, and though I do believe that a move to light heavyweight is in his future, if he does spend the majority of his time at 185 pounds over the coming years, yeah, I could see him extending his title defenses to at least within touching distance of Anderson Silva's 10 consecutive victories as champion. But the problem here is that Silva is kinda the most iconic finisher in the history of the sport, and even if Izzy does hit that number, it will require some truly special performances for most fans to concede that he has moved beyond the spider. Skill for skill, you could absolutely go there, but the divisional GOAT conversation is one that always has many facets, and Anderson Silva is a living legend for a reason. Light heavyweight, the champion Jiri Prochazka, the GOAT Jon Jones. Jiri Prochazka is one of the most entertaining fighters I've ever seen, and he has been a personal favorite of mine for years, long before he set foot in the UFC. But let's be real, even though his legacy is there to be built upon, he is certainly up against it when it comes to carving out a GOAT argument. Jon Jones is just so far ahead of him in every department, and it really doesn't seem like Prochazka's style is built to last. Yeah, Jiri is a bit of an outsider on this list, that's for sure. Heavyweight, the champion Francis Ngannou, the GOAT Stipe Miocic. And finally we come to the heavyweights, and the powerful champion that is Francis Ngannou. Now with the current GOAT of the division Stipe Miocic on his resume, with a huge knockout victory to boot, I would argue that Francis is in a very strong position as far as making his argument clear over the coming years. Jon Jones is circling, and in many ways, the division hasn't been this strong in quite some time. If Ngannou can beat down another contender or two, and maybe even equal Stipe's defenses record, I would imagine that people are going to start having some very serious discussions about his GOAT status. Consider as well that his resume already contains some of the biggest names in the division's history, even if a lot of them were past their prime. If the champion Ngannou can add some prime contenders to that number, yeah, I think it's only going to be a matter of time for him. And that will just about do it for this video. So how do you think we did with our picks? And let us know in the comment section below, which champions in your opinion have the best chance of catching the all-time king or queen of their weight class? And if you want to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well, that'd be pretty awesome. As always, thank you for watching.